You ever think about that? The idea of riding a solar flare, just surfing it through time? I mean, it's a total sci-fi classic, right? But is there any science to it at all? Well, today, we're going to find out. And then we're going to design a time machine that does exactly that, harnessing the raw, untamed power of our very own sun. Yeah, if you're a fan of shows like Doctor Who, you've definitely heard this before. They talk about solar flares as these time windows, these cosmic events that just rip open pathways to the past and future. It's an awesome idea for a story, but it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? So that brings us to the big question. Could you really use a solar flare to travel through time? Now, the short scientific answer is, well, no. But the long answer? That's where things get a lot more interesting. So let's break down why it's not possible. And then you know what? Let's just build our own hypothetical time machine anyway. All right, before we get to the fun part, the blueprints, we gotta get our facts straight. It's physics versus fiction. So what exactly is a solar flare, and what does science say it actually does to the fabric of spacetime? Okay, so a solar flare, think of it like a cosmic shotgun blast. It's this massive, violent burst of radiation and charged particles shooting out from the sun. I mean, it's powerful enough to mess with satellites and cause huge blackouts here on Earth. But here's the key. It's a blunt instrument. It's not some delicate scalpel that can neatly slice open the fabric of spacetime. And right there, that's the core of the problem. See, what a solar flare gives you is a massive amount of raw energy, radiation, plasma, the whole shebang. But what a time machine actually needs is something totally different. You need a way to warp space-time itself, maybe with a wormhole or some kind of exotic matter. It's kind of like having a full tank of gas, but you're still missing the engine. So let's think about it like this. A solar flare isn't the time machine, but it could be the ultimate battery pack for a time machine. It gives us all the fuel we could ever dream of, but we still have to build the engine. And honestly, that's where the real fun begins. Okay, so if a solar flare can't be our time machine, let's just use it to power one. Let's put on our speculative engineering hats for a minute and actually design a hypothetical device that could pull this off. And we're going to call it the Chrono Flare Drive. First, let's talk about power. We're talking about an unbelievable amount of energy. A single, massive solar flare can release something like 10 to the power of 32 ergs. Now, that number is so big it's almost meaningless. So to put it in perspective, that is millions of times more energy than all of humanity has used in our entire existence. If we could capture just a tiny, tiny fraction of that, wow, we could do some pretty incredible things. So here's our core concept, right? The Chrono Flare drive doesn't ride the flare. Instead, it drinks its energy. It sucks it all up to power an onboard engine that does the real work, punching a temporary hole right through spacetime. So what are the key components of this amazing machine? Okay, component number one, the chrono resonator. First things first, you've got to catch all that energy. The chrono resonator is basically a giant solar panel on steroids. It's designed to tune into the exact electromagnetic frequency of the flare and just soak up all that raw power, storing it in some kind of super advanced battery. This is our fuel tank. All right, next up, we've got the engine itself. This is the heart of the machine, the space-time distortion field generator, or STDF generator for short. This baby takes all that energy we just stored and uses it to do the impossible. It creates a temporary bubble of warped space-time, a tunnel to another point in time. But, how do you steer this thing? You can't just go anywhere, anytime. That's where the chrono navigation interface comes in. Think of it as your GPS for time. But there's a catch. It can't just take you to any random Tuesday. It can only target other moments in history that had a similar massive solar flare, which creates a sort of temporal echo it can lock onto. And finally, component number 4, a really crucial safety feature, the temporal anchor. This uses a quantum entangled particle that you leave behind in your own time. It basically creates this invisible tether, a quantum link that helps stabilize your reentry and, make sure you don't just get lost and drift away in the time stream. So we've got the blueprints. The machine is designed. Now let's take this thing for a spin. How would you actually operate the Chrono Flare drive? Well, it's a 5-step journey. It all starts with perfect timing. Step 1, you use observatories to predict a massive flare, and you get your ship into position. Step 2, the chrono resonator just drinks up that energy. Step 3, the STDF generator fires up and rips open a tunnel to your target time. Then, step 4, you transit. You fly through what we're calling a chronal filament, this shimmering temporary bridge made of warped spacetime. And finally, step 5, you exit and your temporal anchor stabilizes you, hopefully arriving at your destination in one piece. But hold on, like any ridiculously powerful and dangerous technology, this thing has to have rules. You can't just go zipping around the timeline without any consequences. These limitations are actually what make the whole concept feel a little more grounded and add some real stakes to the journey. So here are the rules of the road. First, all trips are one way by default. If you want to come back, you gotta hope there's another flare at your destination you can capture. Second, you can only travel during solar maximum, those peaks in the sun's activity cycle. Third, and this is a big one, there's a risk of temporal drift. If that anchor of yours fails, you could become unstuck in time forever. Suddenly, just sending a text message to the past seems a whole lot safer, doesn't it? And of course, every good piece of speculative tech needs a proper, complicated, scientific-sounding name, right? So we'll officially call our chronoflare drive the Solar-Induced Temporal Aperture Device, or, SITAT for short. So let's circle back. Can a solar flare actually send you back in time? The science says no, but can it inspire us to imagine how we might one day pull it off? Absolutely. So here we are. The machine is built, the rules are set, the unimaginable power of a star is at your command. The only question left is, where would you go first?